On now to New York, Nassau County executives calling for George Santos, a name we talked a lot about a couple weeks ago. Of course, there have been other stories to report on, but George Santos back in the news. Local New York Republicans are asking him to resign after he lied repeatedly on his resume. He called them embellishments, mistakes. He apologized. He's lied about basically everything: his religion, his name, his education, not once, but twice, also the grad school that he never attended, his GPA. He lied about a lot of stuff. Said he worked at Goldman Sachs, said he worked at Citigroup. No, apparently he worked with them. There's a big difference. I've actually got his resume right here. We were looking at it this morning. Interesting stuff, to say the least. For more, let's welcome in New York Congressman Brandon Williams. Congressman, great to have you on this morning. I'm wondering what your take is. We know what local politicians are saying in his district. They want him out. What are they saying in Washington?
Well, that's a good question. I think there's so many points that touches George's story, and I think it's important to touch on them all. First, the New York Times, shockingly, is capable of investigative journalism. And my question is Joe Biden the big guy? I'd love to start with that and then move on to George.
Right.
Remember, George won by 8 points in a tough district, with a winning message, but he did it with a really suspect background and misrepresenting himself. I think George needs to return to private life, get all this sorted out, and frankly, get rid of the distraction, for our conference. So I don't like to pile on a guy when he's down. Enough has been said. I just think that, give some space for the party, for Nassau County, Long Island to move on.
Okay, so to be clear, you are calling on George Santos to resign.
I am. My background, I was a strategic missile officer on a Trident-class submarine. I was in the chain of command for the release of nuclear weapons. I have a very high standard for, being straightforward. And George has fallen short of that by a wide margin, and it's pretty shocking. But at the same time, return to private life and don't be a distraction. Get these things sorted out. Don't discount that he won by 8 points in a very competitive race with a winning message. And that does not excuse this kind of behavior, but we got to look at the whole picture. Okay,
Santos tweeted out yesterday, and I honestly, I'm not advising Santos in any way, but if I were, I would tell him just to stay off Twitter. He got into it with Adam Kinzinger, who's now a CNN reporter. He said, "I was elected to serve the people of New York 3, not the party and politicians. I remain committed to doing that and regret to hear that local officials refuse to work with my office to deliver results to our community. I will not," and he capitalized not, "resign." What do you make of sort of what he did to get himself elected? And then I just want to add to that, because the margins there's a political angle to this. Kevin McCarthy's got really, really tight margins. We saw that play out for 4 days yesterday in Washington. Kevin McCarthy needs his vote.
Well, there's two sides to this. Kevin McCarthy, we have a thin margin. We do need the vote. But you have to think of Long Island and the city as one media market. And all the other, Nick LaLota, Anthony D'Esposito, Nicole, Andrew, they also live in this market. And, George is dragging them all down. And they really need to put this behind them. So it's not just one vote for McCarthy. It's really 4 seats. Remember, New York delivered the majority. And, we have to be loyal to the NY GOP that brought us into this majority. So that's really the lens I'd encourage you to think about it.
Yeah, good point. New York and Florida, certainly two of the silver linings of what we saw play out on November the 8th. Congressman Brandon Williams, we appreciate you being with us. We'll keep an eye on it.
Okay, thanks for the time.
All right. We've got